for James. James down at G1C, boots on the ground, doing the Kings reporting thing. I was taught, if you don't have anything nice to say, to not say it at all. Unfortunately, I do a radio program for a living, so I can't not say anything about last night's basketball game.
What else would we do for 2
at
hours?
Golden One Center and the fallout from it, with Monty McNair being fired and Scott Perry being hired as the GM already. Games it didn't even end 12 hours ago.
Grand opening, grand closing, back to grand opening.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna burn everything down today.
Nice.
But before we do that, I was trying to think on the way in, because I have a long drive in, and I'm driving along listening to my music, and I'm like, what? Can I pull any silver linings out of this? Are there any good things from last night? I have 4.
It's a lot.
We're going to open a show with some positivity.
It's a lot from yesterday.
Before we napalm the Kings. All right, here we go. Nice thing number 1. We have spent so much time dragging DeMar DeRozan on this show. We probably put too much on him in terms of Kings issues. And we've acknowledged there are bigger problems than DeMar DeRozan, but a lot of times he was just the singular force in a game where we'd go, man, that stretch of minutes by DeMar DeRozan was really brutal, and it felt like it derailed things, and we put a lot on his shoulders, probably sometimes unfairly. Salute to DeMar DeRozan for being the only player who understood what the assignment was last night.
Oh, I felt real bad for the guy after the game, too.
He was the only one who went into last night's game going, hey, our season's on the line?
He did what you brought him in here for.
Yes. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to go, hey, man, the ISO ball, because what else was he supposed to do?
Took initiative yesterday. He needed to.
When anyone else got the basketball, it was like, I don't want this. I want no parts of this game. DeMar, you do it. Shout out to DeMar DeRozan. That's good thing number 1. I thought he was great last night.
That is a good thing.
It wasn't enough, but like I said, if I'm going to get on the radio and be all, when he does something I don't like, I got to salute him when he was awesome. And he was awesome last night. And the only Kings player who decided that he wanted to play last night. Number 2, the Sacramento Kings made very quick work of firing Monty McNair, although not quick enough. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
I got thoughts about that.
They very rapidly hired Scott Perry as their GM. We'll also talk about that. But they needed to not drag this out. They needed to make sure that, hey, we know that this is all done, that this front office is done. It's over. Wes Wilcox leaving was step 1. Monty McNair, I wasn't even home yet from the game when James texted. He's like, yeah, Monty's gone.
Yeah, you weren't home yet from the game. Monty was gone. You didn't even wake up yet, and Scott Perry was the GM.
Unbelievable.
I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous how this has all gone down.
So good on the Kings. Again, I'm struggling for silver linings here. Good on the Kings for firing their GM with haste. Number 3, look, got to tip your hat. The Mavs were good last night. Shout out to Jason Kidd for having that group playing hard at least.
You knew what it was, I think, early on. The Mavs, we know what the Mavs are like. Kyrie towards ACL, traded
not
Luka,
a good team.
blah, 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 all the stuff we've said already. Mm-hmm. But they play connected basketball. They play team basketball. They're moving the basketball with purpose. To the open guy, PJ Washington, get your shot up, whoever it is. And it's just, you watch the Kings, like, they don't do any of that.
They do none of it. The Mavs use their size to an advantage. They moved the basketball. They were all rowing the same direction. There was a plan. There was an idea on both ends of the floor. They played hard as hell, and they executed it in a season where if they had punted after the Luka trade, I don't think anybody would have blamed the Mavs.
Nope.
If they had been a lottery team, if they had won 27 games or whatever, it would have been like, oh, yeah, well, the injuries, the Luka trade.
I mean, we wrote them off so many times. Yeah.
So many times. Shout out to the Mavs. Last thing, you guys. I thought Kings fans were freaking awesome last night. The vibe before the game was great. Outside the arena, inside the arena, before pregame intros, it was loud. During pregame intros, it was loud. Early in the game, it was loud. In the second quarter, as the Mavs are pulling away, fans are trying to get the Kings back into it. I thought Kings fans showed the hell out last night. Yeah. And the Kings rewarded them with nothing. You guys deserve so much better.
Shout out Sacramento.
That's facts.
Salute.
Shout out Sacramento. We have amazing fans. That is
facts.
a silver lining.
That's facts. That's
this team's kind of done them dirty at home the last few years too. I don't know what it is or why this team can't play at home or just
it doesn't make any
why
sense.
It just has a bad effect on them or what. But
doesn't
you got to
make
show
any
up eventually for these guys.
That's what I got. Those are my 4 good things from last night.
Those weren't even like 4 good things. Like DeMar was good. Second one, the guy got fired. Third one's like, yeah, good for the other team.
I'm trying, bro.
And the fourth one, yeah, we got a good one. Like, shout out to the Kings fans. Like, that was 2 for 4.
It was so loud in there. It was so loud early on. I'm going, dude, the Mavs are going to quit here. Like, this place is rocking. And first quarter goes really well. It's like, okay, now you get a chance. And they lose the second quarter 44-19 to that Mavericks team. When Kirk Henderson on yesterday from Mavs Moneyball. And he was like, man, I get it's going to be ugly. The Kings are going to score 130 points. I don't
Kirk, let me tell you something.
Brother.
Like they second quarter happens, like, all right, the wrong team showed up today. It's over.
It was it.
I don't think anyone was like, like they're going to get back into it, blah, blah, blah. We all just kind of knew who showed up that day.
This is why last night was almost a good thing.
It is
because it needed to happen. This needed to happen. They didn't even they didn't even do the fake comeback. They didn't even do the we're down 24. We cut it to 10. And oh, hey, here we go. Just need to stop in a bucket. They didn't even do that. They didn't get it under 16 until the benches came in.
It was just over. It was the end of the Beam team yesterday. Like, it was just over.
It was done.
Did you say, like, maybe it was a good thing? Like, my biggest fear is if this team got to the playoffs, is like, hey, we got something to build on. Like, maybe we run it back with a few of these pieces or whatever. Like, yesterday, who we saw is who the Sacramento Kings are.
Mm-hmm.
What you saw from Domantas Sabonis, who we'll talk about, is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Zach LaVine. DeMar DeRozan showed up. That's who he is as well.
Yeah.
Monty McNair got fired. Like, all yesterday did was just reaffirm what we already knew, I feel.
That's it. That's why I say, like, again, it wasn't good. It was bad in every facet.
It's just everything. It helps us move forward finally.
That's it. It needed to burn down the pit. There have been Kings fans who have been on this island, who have been on Burn It Down Island since De'Aaron Fox got traded.
Yep.
We're all here now.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't quite there. But when you see last night, when you watch the play-in games, all of them, and you're going, man, the Kings showed last night that they are very squarely in that Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, Dallas Mavericks, Sacramento Kings. They are in that group of teams. There's something rotten here, and I don't know what it is.
But there's not something rotten in Miami. Those other places, I don't think.
No, I would agree with you.
Yeah,
Miami has an established culture, and they make a whole thing about it. The Bulls, at least they got smoked last night, but even the Bulls cut it, I think, to 10 or 12.
Yeah,
before letting go of the rope.
Well, they have somewhat of a future as well,
right? And you see, it might be a very fuzzy outline, but you see a fuzzy outline of kind of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
With the Kings, this is not a bunch of 21-year-olds where you're going, hey, all right, the future. This is Domas is what, 28?
28 is supposed to be leading this team into
Zach
the playoffs.
LaVine's 30.
Yep. 11
DeMar
seasons
DeRozan's closer to 40 than 30.
Probably close to retire at this point than anything.
There's the window's closed. This is not going to work. There's nothing here. There's no outline to me of a team where you go, all right, foundation's there, building blocks are there. He's got to make this tweak or that tweak. They need to tear this thing down to the studs.
Yeah, there's no retool. I tried to hold on to the idea. Hammer brought it up a couple weeks ago, I think. Maybe you do build around LaVine and Sabonis. Not after yesterday. Like, we know what it is. And I think yesterday you brought it up. You brought up the point, like, hey, Nico Harrison did this press conference. Like, this kind of feels like the Mavs are just walking to the end at this point. Like, they're probably just not going to, like, their team dead man walking at this point. Kings can get them. That was that was the right point, just about the wrong team. That was the Kings yesterday.
Facts.
They were exactly what we all thought the Mavs could be going into that game.
Mm-hmm.
Nico Harrison doing his exit press conference, blah, blah, blah. No, the Kings are the ones who look like they were dead in the water already.
The worst.
Like, their season, like, they knew their season was over already.
And I think we tried the fact that going into last night's game, this is where the Kings are. And this wasn't a secret to anyone, but this is where the Kings are. The whole Nico Harrison, Luka thing, the fact that our discussion yesterday about the Kings potentially winning last night centered around like, yeah, but the Mavs are in a way worse spot. That tells you a lot.
Well, yeah, and also let's take it another step. Like, that's how the Kings got to the play, and they didn't get to the play on their own merit. They got to the play because the Suns were just as bad as them this season.
That's it.
You fell into everything.
That's it. There is no, and this is why that whole, and I understand the sentiment behind this, but when they got to 40 wins, you saw the 40 wins 3 years in a row for only the second time in franchise history. The only way that you make that is if you're pointing out how bad it is. That's not an accomplishment.
Shams tried to spin it like it was a good thing yesterday.
That is not an accomplishment. 40 wins is sub 500. Coaches and GMs get fired for finishing below 500, as we saw this year.
Yeah, Shams puts out a tweet. Sorry, real quick. Like, Shams puts out this tweet, like, Monty McNair fired with this article. Under that, he tweets, Monty McNair took the Kings to 3 straight 40-win seasons, blah, blah, blah. No GM in the 15 seasons before that has done that. And then he writes, Monty McNair finishes with a .488 win percentage.
Right.
Thanks, Shams. Thanks for telling me that Monty wasn't good like the others.
Right. And it's not 45, 47, 49 wins. It was 48, 46, 40.
And then you bow out losing to the team that traded their superstar player.
Right.
That was supposed to be gone.
That had more tumult than you did this year. I think the overarching problem here is that the performance last night from the Kings was not met with, whoa, like, man, what a bad time to have a bad game. It's met with fury because everybody understood going into last night's game that, hey, this Mavericks team smoking the Kings is on the table. I said it wouldn't be a 30-plus point blowout. That's what it would have been if starters had stayed in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I said that would be the most surprising thing that would happen. And
that's what happened.
It happened. Yeah, absolutely.
I was wrong in thinking that the Kings, and they ended up losing by 14, but again, they were down 120-98, I think, when they emptied the benches. There's
an aspect also just doing this on ESPN or whatever they were on yesterday, and just the disgust of just being disregarded is just like, yes, the Kings or whatever. Like, that's no good for your fans or anything like that. Nobody wants to see that.
It's
just, oh, there's the Kings, just irrelevant again.
I take in so much basketball content, and every single analysis of the 9-10 matchup was, man, the Mavs are really screwed because they traded Luka. Wow, I can't believe they did that. Also, the Kings are in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what they showed.
Mm-hmm.
That was embarrassing. James Ham in the building, live from Golden One Center. James, your thoughts?
We got a few thoughts to go through. Number one, just a horrible night of basketball. Very, very disappointed in what we saw from the Kings in the second quarter. Rarely do you see a team just flat out lose a game in one quarter. And, they won the first, they won the third, they won the fourth, and they got their ass kicked. Really, really not what I expected to see from that team. But it was more of the same. When the Kings are bad, there's a definite recipe for them being bad. It's me ball. It's not sharing. You saw it early in the first quarter. There was, just this feeling with the team that watching them go to the rim, everything was soft. Everything. Domantas Sabonis went to the rim without force. Zach LaVine went to the rim without force. Keegan Murray went to the rim without force. And not only that, but the early rebounding number told me everything I needed to know. That's a bad rebounding team. The Kings are the second best rebounding team in the NBA as far as defensive rebounding. They have the best rebounder in the NBA, and they were down like 13-6 in the first 5 minutes. And it was over. I mean, you're looking at it like, hey, that's a sign that you're in for bad things. And sure enough, it just continues to play out that way. They were able to catch up and actually won the rebounding battle, but that's because they were missing all their shots and Dallas wasn't. Just the defensive effort was bad. The lack of rotation, like here we are, game 83 of the season, and the team still doesn't know how to defend a corner three. It's easy. It's a layup in the NBA. That is a layup by NBA. So easy.
There's people who want to ban it, James, because of how easy it is. There's people who say, hey, maybe cut the corner three because it's a little too easy of a shot.
The corner three, tush push, same deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a 40% shot. And again, we talk about this all the time, but like it's worth 1.2 points per possession on average. So here are the Kings. They give up the corner three, and then you go down on the other end and take a mid-range jump shot. And it's just like every single possession you're falling behind by 0.4, 0.5 points because you're just not doing what the other team is doing and you're not keeping up in the right way. So super disappointing. And then like, look, the night got that was just part of the night. Like things got weird, like flat out weird, like being in an NBA locker room and
James, real quick.
Yep.
Do you have a few minutes so we can step aside and then you can tell us why last night was weird in the locker room?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go to the break.
Dynamite. That's James Ham. Jesse Tapia is hanging out. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil behind the glass. We're burning it down today. And it's sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
It's one of those controlled farm burns right here.
Are you in the...
I'm in my seat.
He's in the media area.
No, he's in his if he turns the camera around, there will be a court. Oh, hey, there it is. Look at that.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, but they took forever to let us in.
Until they tell you not to be there.
And then someone's doing some sort of weird work on the other side of the arena, so hopefully it's not too noisy.
Hi, James. Good morning.
Good morning, Joe.
Just here.
Yeah, how we feeling?
I mean, I feel normal, to be honest with you.
You're used to this, yeah.
No, I am, and I mean that's a sad representation of everything that goes on here. But I feel totally 100% normal. This is like par for the course. But the story that I'll tell about how it unfolded last night is absolutely wild. And then of course we can get into Scott Perry and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just weird. Like in all honesty, yeah, we'll get to it.
Surprised. No.
Man, I got people all over my timeline doing crazy things. People are just like freaking out.
Oh, here it goes. Here it goes.
What?
So originally people thought I might have been bald because I wore a lot of hats and beanies.
No, Joe's got great hair.
So I woke up this morning ready to dress up because my gag was going to be, you always want to dress nice for a funeral.
Hilarious,
right? Got everything done, and then I realized my brother took all of the hair product with him. So
because he moved to San Jose, correct?
He's in San Jose for a month. Yeah. So this is what we got last second.
Well, you look great.
Thank you.
I like that you countered it with a collared shirt.
You can go to like the sample size at the Target and get yourself like a 99-cent gel. Boy, it is noisy. I hope you guys don't hear that loudly.
Nah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay,
It'll
cool.
be 1320 if not.
Facts. Oh, we had a regular remote hit? Wow, that's weird. That's so funny. Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl champ, 4-time NFL MVP, ayahuasca enthusiast. That is Chiron says on the Pat McAfee show.
Can you imagine waiting on that guy to be your quarterback?
No.
Have some self-respect, Steelers. Seriously. Have some self-respect.
It's unbelievable.
Draft should do it at 21 and be done with it.
Trade up, draft a quarterback like a normal person.
Exactly.
Hey, shout out to World Traveler Coffee.
Oh, dude. We love World Traveler Coffee.
The blueberry latte?
Come on.
Come on. Blueberry latte is off the charts.
Hey, James, do you have a Keurig?
I have a Keurig, but we upgraded to the Nespresso a couple of years ago.
Right. No, that's a good move. That's a good move.
Nespresso as well.
Don Francisco Coffee does Keurig K-Cups that are blueberry. And it is outstanding. It's not quite as good as the World Traveler blueberry latte, but still really, really good. And it makes your house smell like blueberry muffins.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Blueberries trash, blueberry muffins fire.
I got about like 12 to 15 here.
Sorry, King of Mactown. Welcome to the club, I guess. Hey, what's up, Rizzo? Shout out. Rizzo,
Hey.
Rizzo used to go to high school.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
This music is way too upbeat for the vibe today. Joe, cut the music. Cut it.
Is it though? Like, we need something.
Do we?
We need something.
James Ham is here. Jesse Tapia is here. Joe Brazil behind the glass. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Hanging out with you till noon. James Ham is down at Golden One Center covering the player exit interviews for the season. But James, before we had to play some commercials, you mentioned that last night got weird in the locker room, and I would like for you to please explain that.
Yeah, it got super weird. So the media, we got done with Zach LaVine at the podium, followed by DeMar DeRozan, followed by Doug Christie. I thought the DeMar DeRozan and Doug Christie interviews were both very emotional. Very, like, I could really, there's a lot of things that, I don't love about watching DeMar DeRozan play basketball, but I do respect him. And I think he's an NBA legend and a great player and a Hall of Famer. And when he kind of broke it down, how, that was year 16 and he knows he doesn't have very many left, and just how disappointed he was that he wasn't going to be in the playoffs. It kind of hit home because you do know that these guys, they have a finite amount of time that they get to play basketball, and his time is running out. So we go to the locker room after those interviews, and Zach LaVine was in the locker room. Domantas Sabonis came in. There's a handful of us in the middle of the room waiting for more players. We had interviewed Keon Ellis, and we were just kind of hanging out, waiting for pretty much Domantas Sabonis to come over and talk to us.
Oh, you're still waiting on Domantas Sabonis to show up. Interesting. Go ahead.
Well, he was there, but we were waiting to talk to him. And Jonas Valanciunas is walking in the room, and it's like, here comes Jonas. And out of nowhere, our friend of the program, Jake Gaden from CBS 13, just out of nowhere.
Later on, by the way.
Nice.
He just goes, "Oh my gosh, they fired Monty McNair," like really loudly in the locker room. And I look at him like,
I can't believe it.
Like,
do you guys know Monty McNair?
He's gone.
Like, wait,
that's wild.
Like, so I look at my phone and Jake just keeps going. He's looking at the players. They just fired Monty. Like, I'm like, so I look at my phone, and of course, the Amick tweet goes up. I walked out of the locker room really quick because, again, Jonas is like, wait, what? And I walked out of the locker room really quick because I knew where I might be able to confirm that instantly. And sure enough, I was able to instantly, like within, I don't know, 30 seconds, be able to walk up and say, "Hey, can you confirm that, yes, it was a mutual parting of ways?" Tweet goes out. I go back in the locker room. We're standing there. We're still waiting for Jonas and Domas to get dressed. And the Kings security / NBA security walk in and like, "Hey guys, we need to throw in whatever you got, and you need to get to a meeting right now upstairs." And that was it. They take Domas, they take Jonas, they take him right out of the room. Zach LaVine follows, and boom, the players are gone. And media relations like, "Hey, sorry guys, that's it for the night." Clearly things just happened, and so. Very odd. I've been around for plenty of firings. I mean, this is, let's see, the Petrie. Jeff Petrie, after he was let go unceremoniously by Pete D'Alessandro in just a vicious way, right before the 2013 NBA draft. I actually had gone right down the street from our studio to Paul Martin's to have a drink because it was a tough day. It was an emotional day. There was a lot of bad things happening. And I sat down to have a drink, and sure enough, Wayne Cooper and Jeff Petrie walk into Paul Martin's, and I end up buying him each a glass of wine. R.I.P. Wayne Cooper, absolutely spectacular human being. But he did buy the expensive wine that day. And so I think I was out $36 for that glass of wine. But like those are things like,
"Hey, he's paying for his own drink." Actually, yeah, he's got.
Yeah, I was fine buying him a drink and Jeff a drink, and I cheers to both of them, and said thank you for a great run, and thanks for always answering questions and stuff. But this one here, I saw Monty before the game last night. Said, "Hey, what's going on, man? I haven't seen you around here for a while." And he gave me a 5, pulled me in for a hug. Said, "Big night tonight." And I should have known right then that something was off. But here we are. 12 hours later, and everything in Sacramento is different, including the hiring of Scott Perry.
Unreal.
You think Monty knew what it was going into that game? Or
Yeah.
you think the Kings kind of knew what it was, and Monty was not oblivious, but just wasn't sure it was going to happen so fast? Because obviously the Kings had a plan.
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly Scott Perry is like he was an East Coast guy. At least that's the last time, I talked to him, he was East Coast. So I don't think that they were able to figure something out overnight here. They already had something lined up here. This was over and done with before the game, which is to me very surprising that it was over and done with in like a turnkey situation. But I'll say this for people who don't know Scott Perry. He came here in the summer of 2017 to help Vlade Divac out. And this is actually one of the most pivotal moments in Sacramento Kings history, at least recent history. And if things would have worked out differently, I don't think we would have had to go through all of what we've gone through at this point. Scott Perry walked in the building and instantly calmed everything down. He was spectacular. And leading up to the 2017 draft, he clearly knew exactly what he was here to do. He added structure to the front office that at that point, Vlade was still learning and trying to figure out how to do this whole thing. And he instantly brought credibility. He's the guy that everyone in the league knows, everyone in the league likes and respects. Mm-hmm. And so when he calls, you have no problems picking up Scott Perry's phone call. And that's something that instantly was so stark compared to what I was used to over the last couple of years in Sacramento, even maybe the last 5 years in Sacramento. And so he brought this instant validity to the situation. And so to see him 3 months later, he was offered the New York Knicks general manager job, and he had to take it. Like it was his dream job at the time. And that's why he left. And for me, it made perfect sense. He even did this is very strange and very nuanced that people might not understand. But one of his first acts was to call a couple of the media members that were, big in Sacramento and take us out to lunch and just sit down and get to know us and have a legitimate conversation one-on-one with the media director there. That's it. We sat down, we had lunch, we talked basketball, we talked life, we talked about things that have gone well and things that have gone wrong. And he was here to be a problem solver. And so for me, this is possibly one of the better things that could happen for the Kings, because this is a guy that can encapsulate sort of everything that Monty and West brought individually into one guy. And I assume that they're going to bring in other people. I don't know if Vlade Divac will have a bigger say and all that stuff, but he worked really well with Vlade. He worked really, really well with Vivek. And I got to be honest, if Scott Perry would have been here if he did not get that Knicks job, I do think things would have worked out way differently. And when he left, their response was to hire Brandon Williams, which just like Brandon Williams last night, just like Brandon Williams, the player last night, Brandon Williams, the executive, destroyed the Sacramento Kings single-handedly. And so it's just like a pivotal moment where not only did you miss out on a really high-level executive, but you also ended up stumbling into someone who was nefarious and had all kinds of he was here to claim power. And it ended up being a very, very bad and ugly situation that ended with his dismissal. It ended with the dismissal of Dave Yeager and sort of this franchise spiraling in a really dark place.
James, I know you got to get down to do some interviews, but I want to make sure the question everybody's asking, will Scott Perry be able to work with Jeremy Lamb?
Jeremy Lamb hasn't been here for a while. And I know Jeremy Lamb is not part of the picture anymore. And even when he was part of the picture, he was part of the picture in a very, very small way. Yeah, so he was never in any meetings that I know of or anything else. It's a fun punchline for Sacramento Kings.
I'm going to keep making jokes about it. James, appreciate you dropping in, and we'll break this down more with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on the Insiders. Thanks, James. There he goes. James Ham. I want to...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
James said a lot of nice things about Scott Perry. My thing is, whose vision is he here to carry out? Are we continuing something here, or are we getting ready to rebuild?
That's it. I don't.
They moved real fast.
The question for me is less: is Scott Perry good at his job? Maybe. Maybe he comes in and flips this team around, and Scott Perry is the savior of the Sacramento Kings. Maybe. But my question goes beyond who are they going to hire? My question is now, when they write in The Athletic, I say they, Sam Amick and Anthony Slater already have a really good piece out in The Athletic. I think it's not behind a paywall.
Yeah, I read it on Twitter, clicked on the link. So usually I got to go through my login or go through the app itself.
So Vlade has influence, but won't have a formal role. And Monty McNair had started to lose decision-making power, and he didn't want to fire Mike Brown. And Vivek Ranadive is viewed as the Doug Christie guy. And it seems to me like what they're doing, and maybe James is right. Maybe Scott Perry has enough cachet that he walks into this building and Vivek goes, "You got it, dog."
That'd be nice.
It would.
That'd be real nice.
But that's it. But we haven't seen that for what? It's a decade and a half.
We thought maybe it was happening with this guy, and turns out no.
Right. So that is more my concern than James Ham just said. Scott Perry came in, and when he came in the first time, he calmed everything down. Hopefully the plan is Scott Perry gets to do his job. Hopefully the plan is, hey, they hired Scott Perry because he has a vision for the Kings.
Yeah.
That they believe is going to take them beyond just being, hey, you 40-ish wins if things go right.
Team, a perennial play-in team who maybe could get to the first round.
Right. If they think that's what it is, then cool. But if they're bringing in Scott Perry because it's comfortable, and hey, we need to fire Monty McNair, and we want to have this guise of having a plan and an idea, so let's just hire this guy that we know. Let's get him in the building. Which everybody knows. And he'll also hire Doug Christie, which we've decided we want to do. So that's how this is going to go. Unless they're letting Scott Perry take over and then Vivek and ownership are going to get out of the way, they're going to run into the exact same problem they've continued to run into for the last 15 years.
Tell me if this is something or nothing. Sean Cunningham tweeted out yesterday, statement from Vivek Ranadive.
KCRA3 Sean Cunningham.
It's facts. Quote, "I want to sincerely thank Monty for his leadership and the invaluable contributions he made during his time in Sacramento. He helped build a strong foundation for continued success here, and we wish him and his family all the best in their future endeavors." End quote.
Here's the thing. No, he didn't.
Yeah, and the thing, like you say, continued success. So, like, my genuine question is: so does that mean? Do you think like Scott Perry's going to take this over? All right, we're going to make a couple tweaks here. Maybe get DeMar out here, get a point guard. Domas, Zach LaVine, everyone, let's run it back again. Like, what is? I want to know the plan.
That was my immediate concern when I read that quote.
That's how I took it.
Is now maybe Vivek is speaking in corporate platitudes and saying what he needs to say in this statement, and they're going to go.
Yeah,
maybe he's saying this out loud because that's okay. And then behind the scenes, he's like, "Burn it down."
Yeah,
this is not. But let's take this at face value. What's the foundation for success? Because you had one, and then in 22-23, I genuinely believe I was of the mind after the 2022-2023 season when the Kings lost to the Warriors in 7 games in the first round and broke their 16-year playoff drought, that they had a foundation to build off of. They did not do that. They went backwards. I
don't get that at all still.
And now this team, whatever this amalgamation of players is nothing like. There's no structure. With Beam Team 1, you went, okay, this is what this team is. This is their identity. They need to get better defensively, but you can do that and find 3-point shooters that don't necessarily mess with what you're doing overall. In 2 years, they now have this collection of players that nobody knows what this is.
The players probably don't even know what this is.
The players have no idea. You can tell by how they play.
Exactly. I just got here, and now I got to get 30 shots up and save this whole thing.
Right. So I don't.
And that's another thing too. I mean, it was in the Athletic article. Whose bright idea was it to bring Zach LaVine in here for Fox? And was that option one?
It was called in the Athletic a win now move. and they did not do any winning.
I don't.
They got older. They got a player who, and again, I'm going to say this is not a shot at Zach LaVine. This is a shot at the Kings. They got a player who doesn't fit because they don't know what they're doing. There was no plan. I genuinely don't think they operated this offseason and at this trade deadline. I genuinely don't think they operated like we need to get to this place to build out a long-term winner. They weren't worried about building out a window. They were like, what do we do to make the playoffs now? We got to make the playoffs this year. It
was the most short-sighted move you could make.
100%.
All it did was just handcuff you and give you no future beyond this season, I feel.
Yep.
Like you could have, honestly, like I'm of the belief once you fired Mike Brown and you were ready to trade De'Aaron Fox, that's where this thing was completely over. There was no salvaging this at all. There was no, hey, we're going to bring in Zach LaVine, make the playoffs, and continue to try to make the Western Conference Finals eventually. Like it was cooked once you're the guy you were trying to build around. Yeah, we're trading him. Once that was done, it was over.
Yep.
And I have a hard time believing whoever's call it was like, yeah, let's get Zach LaVine in here. That's priority move number one. I would have much rather, even if it's not Stephon Castle or whatever, give me Vassell and another guy or whatever. Give me some first round picks too.
Yes.
Something I can build off of. Because now at this point, it's like, what do I have besides Zach LaVine? And Zach LaVine's a good player, but this does nothing for the future.
That's it. It did nothing for their future. It puts them in a spot where I don't think they will. But if they just take this exact same group of players, I know they got some guys in free agency, but let's just say they bring back this group of players. You're going to be about here next year. Maybe a couple more wins. Maybe you're 42-40. But we talked about this yesterday. We joked about this with Kenny on the handoff yesterday. Every stat you look at, no matter which way you slice the Sacramento Kings, first half, second half, since the All-Star break, since March, whatever, no matter what way you slice it, they're mid.
Mm-hmm.
They are smack dab in the middle of the league. And sometimes they'll beat the Cavs in Cleveland and then beat Detroit the next night in Detroit. And then they'll go out and do that in the play-in game. There needs to be, and maybe Scott Perry's the guy to do this. Again, there needs to be a complete reset.
Exactly.
Of whatever it is they're doing. Everybody needs to be on the table, from players to coaches. Whatever they do next has to be about establishing a foundation because they don't have one, no matter what Vivek Ranadive wants to say in his statement.
It's not there.
There's no foundation for continued success. There's no foundation that you're going to build off of and create a championship window. I know that sounds insane, but that's what the ultimate goal is.
That's what every team tries to build towards.
Right. So I know there's steps toward that.
Yeah.
People are going, you're talking championship. No. But that's the ultimate goal. They need to start taking steps toward that. And it starts with tearing down whatever this is. Because like I said earlier, there's something rotten here. Something's not working from a just core perspective.
Yeah, we could probably talk more about that. Because I got more thoughts on Monty McNair too. Yes. I don't want to paint this as, Monty McNair was handcuffed and couldn't do anything. Because I don't necessarily believe that either. Also,
I made the joke when James Ham said that they were waiting for Domantas Sabonis to show up in the locker room.
Yeah. Went over our guys' head.
Domantas Sabonis sucked last night. He's going to get cooked next.
Yep.
Joe Brazil, Jesse Tapia in for James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is Insiders on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center. Boy.
Soren, don't you even put that in the chatty house, man. Don't even put that.
Dude,
don't even
Soren,
put that out there.
Take a lap. Fencing back.
You know how this goes.
What did you get flagged for?
Let me see if I can pull up the comics. I'm down.
Man,
I'm not gonna say it again.
Hey, I love Shams Charania's editorializing in this tweet. So Damian Lillard has been cleared of his deep vein thrombosis. So shout out to Dame. That's awesome. Happy he's healthy.
Real quick. This is the flag.
Oh. Well,
so it's a 5-yard penalty. It's a little false start.
Okay. That's fine.
Move back 5 yards.
Lillard's out for game 1 Saturday and will have a period of time to resume contact workouts and ramp up for his return. According to Shams, that's awesome. But he goes, amazing, : Milwaukee's Damian Lillard, blah, 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 and goes on to, I love the editorializing there. Good job, Shams.
Shams was acting kind of funny yesterday, man. Well, I get it's the game, but like, come on, you can't be putting out so-and-so's under 500, but they did better than the past guy. Come on, have some self-respect here.
Remarkable and historic development to clear from the blood clot in just over 3 weeks. Doctors have told Bucks officials this recovery has never been seen before, but occurred due to early treatment, detection, and specialists working on Lillard even before formal diagnosis.
Great for Dame. I hope he's healthy, and if he's
Salute,
healthy,
dude.
then I'm
Same.
cool.
Same. That's it. That's scary. That's a
Yeah.
scary injury. Glad he's past it.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like what are we doing here?
Given where the Knicks have been, I can't imagine it was great.
It's another thing too. I mean, you guys have more days to unpack, but did you hire Scott Perry because he was comfortable?
Oh my God, hang on.
Hey, the good news is you won't have to see that for a while, so you're good for now.
There it is. The local guy putting it in the chatty house too. There's 2 of them.
Oh, local guy put it in?
Well, Soren did first, and then the local guy's right here.
Oh, snap. Local guy confirming. That dude's hilarious.
Yeah.
I rock with
yeah.
that guy.
Algin, shout out to your
2
Arsenal
minutes.
YouTube, Will. I kicked Madrid's ass. I'm surprised. They could make the final, I think. They got a good team.
I don't know if Domas is playing through an ankle injury last night, but he's getting fried either way.
Who cares if he's playing through an ankle injury? It's not like that was something new when we saw yesterday.
And we're back.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Joe.
No problem.
Oh, I have a legit. This is another. And we're back.
Chris, this has been his
Cool.
year. Like, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he won it. Like, he's been tearing it up all season long, all year long, not even just season. As Messi Jr. looks like sometimes.
Salute to my guys, Shad and Sean. Shad in the South Bay listening with my nephew, Kyron. And Sean out on the East Coast, Virginia.
Shout out.
Yeah, we're nationwide here. Salute to the homies. Next June, Sean. Can't wait. All right.
Now, back to the Insiders, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Every segment, I feel like I'm clocking in for my retail job again. Like, all right, here we go.
Shout out to everyone who used to work at retail. I used to work at Champs.
Salute. It was at Sports Chalet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I used to work at the mall. I hated it.
The mall that the Sports Chalet was in, on, I forget what it's even called. Help me out. On Watt and El Camino.
Oh, I'm not even sure. See, my job was
What's
in
that mall
Modesto.
called?
I was in Modesto.
What is that mall called?
Real quick, while we find that, Edgar
Yeah,
Perez.
please.
At what point do Kings fans get a free pass to switch teams? Look, do what you want, but I am pro. You live in the dumps until they get you out.
That's it.
That's where
That's
I'm
it,
at.
bro.
Like, I'm a Dolphins fan. I've never seen a playoff win. I'm here till forever. Like, I don't know. Like, why are you going to leave now? You've already been here 20-some years at least, I'm sure.
No,
That's
yeah,
it.
no. The one thing we're not doing is switching up.
No.
I promise you that.
Like I said, do what you want. I get
Country Club Mall. That's
it.
right.
Come on, got you.
It was like Sports Chalet and some weird art exhibit thing, like art studio, and a
Mhm.
Panda Express. That was it, and a Ross.
Sam Thomas in the chat. I did not wear the ref uniform. That was Foot Locker. All right.
You wore the blue shirt.
Yeah, we had the blue shirt.
pullover.
We had the blue pullover.
All right.
Champs used to have this rule too, where like since you were working for them, you had to wear their shoes. So like I didn't have their shoes, so like to work in. So
You
I had
got
to
free
buy a pair.
shoes?
No, I had to buy a pair.
Did you get a discount at least?
No,
What?
they got sued.
Oh my god!
Your boy got a settlement check. It's
Come
only
on.
$4 though. I was so pissed.
At Hat Club, you get a free hat on
For
day
real?
one,
Yeah.
as if like you don't have a hat to wear if you're working at Hat Club. They're like,
Yeah.
do you have any hats?
I was so like
Like, brother, I got
just
one
out of
on.
high school. I was like, oh, settlement check. No clue how the world works. Oh, I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna get another pair of shoes. $4. This is stupid. I don't even think I cashed it.
Jesse Toppy in for James Ham. James Ham is down at Golden One Center doing exit interviews with players. Joe Brazil behind the glass. So this is the other, we were talking Kings front office. Because if you missed it, if you're tuned into this program, hopefully you already know, Monty McNair has been fired and was fired shortly after the game last
And if
night.
you don't know, let me tell you, they already hired his replacement.
I was going to say, if you don't know, buckle up.
Yeah.
Here's the, okay, so on the Monty McNair firing, a couple things. This is a quote from the Amick and Slater article, Anthony Slater and Sam Amick in The Athletic.
Mhm.
McNair addressed Kings players in the locker room not long after their elimination on Wednesday night, league sources said. Speaking with a bigger picture view about the future, the players were informed not long after that he was no longer leading the franchise's front office. Why did they let him go talk to the players?
Yeah, you normally don't let the guy do a radio show if you're gonna let him go. So I don't get why you
Right.
let the guy talk to the team when you let him go.
They actually, I had that happen to me, but that's a different thing. I don't want to talk about me
Yeah.
getting fired. So yeah, man, it's
My thing,
that I don't get. I don't get why they didn't at the horn
yeah,
or before the game.
which just points to the dysfunction. Like, it's just more
Yeah.
of the same. My thing that I got kind of stuck on
Yeah,
was
please.
no, there's like the same play that's been ran multiple times, multiple regimes, didn't have power. Vivek or whoever
Yeah.
didn't want it. They said Monty McNair, according to sources, didn't necessarily want to trade for Levine, didn't necessarily want DeRozan, didn't necessarily
Mhm.
want to trade Mike Brown. That's fine and all that. Like, when did Monty McNair ever have power then when he was here?
That's
Because we can talk about Vivek this or so and so that. So just everyone was able to just make decisions, and Monty McNair, the GM, wasn't. That's what the story was here. Like, Mike Brown was able to tell you, no, I don't want John Collins or so and so player. Monty McNair, okay, fine. Vivek tells you, no, we're doing this. Monty McNair, fine. Like, I find it hard to believe he was just working against them for 43 years or whatever.
right. So he was a secretary.
Yeah, like what did
Is
he
that-
do?
he's
What did
making
he
phone
do?
calls?
What did you do what did you do for these few years?
This is where
Like,
this is. Go ahead.
Real quick, like I said, they run the same play with like Vivek and whatever, but so you're just telling me like everyone had a say besides the GM. I think some things can be true, but I don't think that's fully what it is at this point. And I'm speculating all that. I don't buy that everyone had decision making here besides the GM.
And when he unequivocally when he finally did a press conference after they fired the head coach,
Uh-huh.
he unequivocally said firing Mike Brown was my decision. That was my, and he didn't dance around it.
Uh-huh.
Didn't say a word salad to get there. He went mine. It was my decision. And now we're hearing it wasn't. This is why they've hired Scott Perry. They have a new GM already. And James Ham laid out a really good case for why this could be a good thing for the Kings. My issue is I don't trust Vivek Ranadive. I don't trust their ownership group to let Scott Perry or Bob Myers or pick a GM to let anyone cook.
Well, I'll keep asking the question: whose vision is Scott Perry like going through with this?
Right.
Can Scott Perry come in? Can Scott Perry come in here and I want to blow it up or rebuild, or is Scott Perry taking whatever continued success means? Again, respect about that, but like just maybe Vivek sees, there's a winner here. There's a winner here. He desperately believes in this team, and it's Scott. I know you can get the winner out of this group.
Right? Did he want this GM job so bad that if Vivek, when they were having interviews or conversation, there wasn't even like an interview process. The only thing we saw was in The Athletic. They Amick and Slater reported that Scott Perry and Calvin Booth were in consideration. And then Scott Perry was hired this morning.
The way that goes, bro, from what I've seen and heard, like Scott Perry knew he was the GM probably before yesterday too.
Right. Right. So, and James Ham has been bringing up Scott Perry for weeks.
Yeah.
So was he hired because he has a clear vision to take this team into a different chapter? Or is it what you just said? Is it Vivek went, hey, we have this foundation here, and Scott Perry wanting a job went, yep, you sure do.
Yeah.
Can't wait to work with it. And we're just going to get more of the same. I genuinely, I don't know, but I don't have any reason. I want someone to give me one good reason outside of blind optimism to trust or have any faith that this is going to work and that Vivek Ranadive is going to get out of the way and let people do stuff, because we're hearing Vlade Divac is still around and he has influence, but he's not going to have a formal role. Why does he have influence then?
Well, no, we'll have an idea that when Scott Perry has that first press conference, because he's going to say, yeah, like, probably going to, like he'll say, we'll probably tear this thing down a bit. We're going to rebuild, or like there's a winner here. And you'll know his direction, I think, coming out of that press conference.
Yeah. I think that's probably right. He might say the things he needs to say.
That's a good point too.
Because you can't
listen to Monty McNair for 4 years, say nothing.
Right. You can't, and you can't tear down the players that are on your roster in the event that you can't trade them.
He gives you some type of direction instead of just word salad. But
yeah. And if he steps in and he goes, there needs to be more athleticism and size added to this team. What's been going on hasn't been good enough, clearly, and I don't have any reason to give the Kings, the Vivek Ranadive Kings, I have no reason to give them any benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I'm not giving you props today because you hired Scott Perry.
No,
because you know what? You can hire Scott Perry and that's fine. But the moment, and we're all just talking whatever, like if we see they're going to run it back or just kind of do a little retool and try to get a winner out of this, I'm out. As soon as that's kind of visible, I'm out.
Yep.
Because that's not what this team needs. It needs a full rebuild.
Not at all.
All right, well, it begins. DeMar DeRozan is up first for extra interviews, as James has tweeted, and he's wearing a Godfather T-shirt. Does that have any type of significance?
We'll see. We'll see what the quotes are looking like after.
Hey, I know you were tongue in cheek there, but do we really think that DeMar DeRozan went into his closet today? Is there any possibility he's like, what way can I symbolize my thoughts?
I don't know. It's kind of like the thing.
It feels like he has a stylist or he grabbed a T-shirt out of his
Anthony
closet.
Davis thing was that's all folks T-shirt before he left the Pelicans.
And then he said it was
that's what DeMar's doing.
Yeah, his stylist. Like,
if you're gonna do it, stand on it.
All right, bro.
I'm not saying DeMar's doing that, but we've seen it before. Yesterday
wearing a Godfather T-shirt. It's his daughter's wedding.
Yeah, James talked about it earlier. Like yesterday looked like it tore up DeMar a little bit. I mean, he's talking after the game.
I imagine,
this
dude.
is the toughest season in his 16 years. He's never been through anything like this. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but
I imagine he showed up to this team that won 46 games last year, and the idea was, man, he's going to fit. He's going to help them get over the hump. He insulates them from an injury to Malik Monk, and okay, cool, this is going to work. And then it just didn't. And on top of it not working on the court, a coach got fired. The GM got fired right afterward. The best player, one of the reasons he arrived in Sacramento,
Sacramento in the China says he came to play with Fox,
right? And he said in an interview after Fox got traded or before Fox got traded, right around that time, if he gets traded, I got to reevaluate what I'm doing. And he's right. He's still a good player, but year 16 goes with no playoffs, and now he's got to either run it back with this team or got to go find a new team to make it. Just
doesn't make for either party to work with each other going forward. I think
the lack of stability is just brutal. It's so brutal, and that lack of stability has been the hallmark of the Kings franchise. The Amick article after De'Aaron Fox got traded talked about it, and De'Aaron Fox has been pretty candid about it. The way this entire season went, the way the offseason went with Mike Brown's contract, the way this entire season went, the fact that they allowed Monty McNair, a GM that they very clearly had no intention of keeping, that they allowed him to be the one to execute the De'Aaron Fox trade. And if it was in fact Vivek Ranadive going, we need to make the playoffs, the way we do that is we get Zach LaVine.
That's a little scary.
Then that's the whole problem.
Yep.
That's why you cannot trust this basketball team and this organization. I hope it's different. I want it to be different. I'm crossing my fingers, but I will not believe it until I see it, whether it's Scott Perry or any other GM stepping through those doors.
Just need it to be different once, but brother, this owner swings and misses a lot right now.
I know.
Bad in offers.
I know it. All right. Second hour coming up. More of this. Jesse Tapia is in for James Ham. James Ham today down at Golden One Center covering Kings exit interviews. He will be back tomorrow. Joe Brazil on the ones and twos. We got to get back into the game last night because some of the big picture issues really showed through in the game last night, starting with number 11, and we'll do that next. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's the Insiders on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Oh, now I got my guy Micah's in there. Let's go.
Shut
Come
up.
on, man. The whole group chat.
This is hilarious. Jake just, guys, money's gone.
He's
gone.
Hey, we did not spend enough time on
Yeah, James had to go, but I wanted to ask him if that was a weirder locker moment or the one where Vivek walks in with Drake after the vibes are all down.
Oh, dude, I love.
And it's just so perfect that it's Jake Gayden. Like, Jake Gayden's the best, bro.
He is. I joked with him one day. This was before. I know him a little better now, but I made a joke to him at a Niner game one time that because I had gotten a seat and he didn't, and I was like, and I made this joke because Jake Gayden is one of the kindest people I've ever met in media. Vibes are always up, smile always on his face, just the nicest dude.
Yeah.
And so I made this joke. I was like, well, you get a seat when you're not an asshole to people. And it like genuinely looked like
You can't be doing that to the nice ones, man.
I apologized to him. I texted him later.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I've been thinking about that. I'm so sorry. Like the joke there is that you are not that in any way. Like, it was sarcastic.
Yeah, Jake's
I
got
felt
good
so bad.
energy.
He's
Unreal, Kyle.
Just a dude, seriously.
Yeah.
I take everything you say to me seriously and to heart too when you're joking, even. So maybe it's the tone. I don't know.
I'm me being the asshole here is on the table. I'll wear that. That's my bad, Joe. I will communicate with you differently moving forward. Now that I know that, just know that I genuinely. Can I talk? That's fine. You're doing a great job. We'll talk. I'll talk. Remind me to talk to you later about a thing that I don't want to talk about in front of you.
Absolutely. Just so everyone is well aware, Kyle is the best, and I do love Kyle. All right.
Let him hate him, Joe.
Yeah, you can just hate me. It's cool. Yeah, he is. Unless Scott Perry was hired because Doug is his first choice. Our new couches got delivered today, guys.
Hey, let's go.
Big day in the Madsen house.
There we go. Lonzo morning gift. At least there's that. You know how many people tweeted me Vlade Divac when, like, at least it wasn't Vlade when Scott Perry got hired.
Hour number 2, Jesse Tapia in for James Ham, Joe Brazil on the ones and twos. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and we're hanging out with you until noon. Then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC. That show is going to be pure electricity today for 4 hours. I cannot wait. Make sure you're locked in here to ESPN 1320, whether you're on the radio on 1320 AM, whether you're on the free Odyssey app, which I highly recommend having downloaded on your phone, you favorite ESPN 1320. That way, if you are listening on the radio, you can jump out and you turn it on your phone and you can still listen to the program. And of course, everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch, youtube.com/ESPN1320, twitch.tv/ESPN1320, and everybody in the chat house. We appreciate you all as well.
Jake Gaden's pulling up later, by the way, too, so make sure you do. D'Lo and Casey.
Facts.
Yeah.
Can't wait for them to ask him about
It's going to be hilarious.
telling everybody in the locker room.
Yeah. Just like, because now we'll get to hear Jake's reaction just to everyone's reacting off him, I guess.
He's the best.
And what that was like.
All right. I want to get back into the game last night.
Yeah, you got some thoughts.
The Kings lost. All right, look. And this is big picture. This is not just last night, but this is what when I say there's something rotten here, I don't mean necessarily personally like there's a bad person. I mean this just from a team building and basketball standpoint. There's something that's just not working. There's something that just is not right with this collection of players. And you have no choice. And Kenny laid this out on the handoff yesterday. He laid this out and said, this is a Domas game. This is a Domantas Sabonis spot. If you're going to be the guy that we have all caped for, while everybody across the league has tried to tear down Domantas Sabonis for the last 2.5 years, if you're that guy that we all think you are, you need to go have a huge game tonight. Go show that you're that guy. And Domantas Sabonis responded with 11 points, 13 boards, 5 assists, 5 turnovers, and he was 5 of 13 for the game. But through 3 quarters, he was 7 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists with 5 turnovers and 3 of 9 from the field. He was terrible.
Yeah, nowhere to be found. That's inexcusable if you're the guy.
And that's what and
you can't do that.
There are going to be people who say, well, that's not him. He's not a 1A. That's not his game. He's not a 1B.
Yes, no.
He's not
a
even
2 either.
2.
He's not a 2. He's not.
And this is like, look, this is not a problem with Domas the player. Okay, let's like in a vacuum, you will take a player with his production on your team any day. The problem is he is being paid like a 1A. He is due next year $43.6 million. The year after that, $46.7 million. The year after that, $49.9 million. This is not to pocket watch. This is to show, hey, they're paying this guy to be that dude. To be that guy who in games like that against the Dallas Mavericks, where, man, it's Anthony Davis and it's Daniel Gafford and it's Derek Lively. And, man, you know what? We need a big man who's going to go in there and he's going to have a great game. And he stunk. You can't have that. And this is after and he was good in the play-in loss to the Pelicans last year, to be sure. But he was not very good in that series against Golden State. And the knock on him is, hey, when you get into these big games, can you trust him? You can't. You can't.
We know what we know who Domantas Sabonis is.
Yeah, if he's making $20 million a year, you're cool with it because now you're able to build around him in a certain way. He needs such a specific type of team and player and roster around him to maximize his abilities. And when you're paying him for it's the Brock Purdy conversation. Well, you can't pay Brock Purdy $60 million because you need to be able to have these pieces around him to maximize him. And if you're paying him $60 million, it's really hard to put those pieces around him. It's this. They are being handcuffed by, at least partially, financially handcuffed by this contract for a player who gives you 7, 8, and 4 with 5 turnovers on 3 of 9 shooting in the minutes that mattered.
I don't know if we've said it officially or anything like that, but I'm ready to trade Domantas Sabonis at this point this offseason. And Andrew in the chat house brings it up. Might be close to a Levine size untradeable contract.
Levine will.
I don't know if Domas's contract is that bad, but at this point, it's like, what does the rest of the league think about him? Because you're paying top dollar for someone who isn't a top tier player.
That's it.
Like, he's just not. It's fine. He's a great player, no doubt.
He's
great at what he does.
Yes.
But for what you're paying for, he's not that.
Yes. You cannot have a player like this going for 11, 13, and 5 with 5 turnovers in that game. You can't.
And if what am I keeping you on this team for? Like, I'm paying you to be someone that you can't be. So what are we even doing at this point? That's hurting me more than anything.
Right. And we've talked about this before. Okay, so for Domantas Sabonis to be effective, because that's been the argument. Hey, they haven't put the right pieces around him. Okay, so you need a shot blocking stretch 5? Dude, there's like 5 of those in the league. And they all get paid. Because the Kings, for whatever reason, won't draft Khalil Ware types. So you need that. And then, okay, you need a point guard, specifically one who's really good at the pick and roll, who also can shoot. And then also, you need 3-and-D guys around him constantly. That's okay. But he was paid to be the guy who solved problems, not created them.
We talked about this guy being an Anthony Davis type.
Yes.
One of the best at his position. Joel Embiid.
Yep.
You heard it so many times. He's Nikola Jokic light.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he never showed up. Those guys impact. Joel Embiid can't stay healthy anymore. That's fine. Before, he had impact on wins. Yep. Same with Anthony Davis. Same with anyone else at that position. That's it. Like Bam Adebayo is helping out with the Heat. He just does not impact wins the way that you pay him to.
I think he affects.
He feels like and I know this gets tossed around as a bad thing. I don't think it is. He's like the best glue guy in the league.
Yeah, I think you're right. That always has like a negative connotation because glue guys are always like the Jose Alvarados, right? Domas is so clearly better than that. Domas is one of the 25 best players in the league.
Yes, but he's not a guy. I'm gonna add you here because like you're kind of the missing piece, not because I'm gonna build around you, because I kind of need you to connect everything here.
And that's it. They have to, with this contract, they have to build around him. And he showed you last night that he's not that. And again, I struggle with this because he's existing in this massive gray area that we don't like to live in when talking about players in sports. But he's a very good player being paid like a superstar.
I can pull up
but real quick, the players on his contract, the best players that are making this type of money, and I know there's a lot of guys making more now because contracts, but the players on this type of contract who got those deals a couple years ago are all players that end of game, you get the ball, you go score. This guy might get me 50 tonight. This is the player that I'm going to rely on. Your Jason Tatums, your Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders, your Luka Doncic's, your LeBron James, your Steph Curry's. It's that. He was paid to be that type of player. And we have enough of a sample size through 9 years in the NBA. And he is a 28, going on 29-year-old.
Yeah.
There's not room for growth. This is just what he is. The production is great, but you can't rely on him to be the player that you need him to be. What do you got?
Our guy James Ham tweeted a quote from Domas. Exit interviews going on now. Domantas Sabonis said he loves it in Sacramento and he wants to stay. He also wants to know what the direction of the franchise is. He also said he was not consulted on the decision to part ways with Monty McNair.
He wants to know the direction of the franchise. Join the club, brother.
Yeah, I would love to, that you contributed to that.
Yep.
You contributed to this mess. They put it on. You were supposed to be the guy to take it home, as was Fox.
Yep.
They got Fox out of here.
Yep.
You are one of the reasons why this is like this. You don't need to seek clarity. You are part of the issue. Like, you did not get the job done.
Yep.
I don't get the whole, I need to seek clarity. No, they need to seek clarity from you.
That's it.
What the hell was that yesterday? What was that Warriors playoff series? Why is it when we need you to step up, you don't?
There were moments last night where he legitimately looked like he wanted no parts of being in that basketball game.
Yeah, like, no, you're not going to ask me for clarity.
No.
You scored 11 points yesterday.
Yep. And looked scared to shoot the ball. There was one point where he gets it on the block with like 3 seconds on the shot clock. Bro, put your shoulder into somebody and go up. And he takes a step out and he's looking for where to pass. Like,
go be a guy. I'm not going to tell him.
And people will argue, well, that's just his game. I know.
Then that's not good enough here. That doesn't work here.
I agree. If that's just his game, if his thing is going to be rebounds and passing, I'm sorry, in the NBA, I know we talk on this show a lot about ball movement and about defense and about all those little things, the hustle plays, all that. But Kenny is right on this point that the game is about putting the ball in the basket.
In crunch time especially.
And if you're not going to do that, you can't beyond the contract that he's on. He got paid to be that dude, and he's just clearly not that dude. And he's not a bad player.
He's not. Yeah, that's not what we're saying at all. But he's also not a franchise player either.
Right. At least not in my estimation. Certainly not in your estimation.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what TC thinks. He's on the Elk Grove Kia talk line. 916-909-1320. 916-909-1320. Phone lines are wide open. It's on you guys here in the second hour. Go ahead, TC.
Hey, what's up, Jesse? Hey, Jesse and Kyle, what's up, bros?
What's
up,
TC?
man?
Hey, so listen, I'm with this. Well, let's start with Domas first, right? Because I'm going to take a different approach. Domas, bro, y'all already know how I felt about Clarity. And I spoke about that this last couple of since we heard that. Domas, bro, you're on the trading block, bro. If you're going to be here, you're going to be here. Other than that, bro, you can go. Period.
Yep.
The game last night from all players' standpoint, bro, we need you to stand up. Like you said, Kyle, I was watching, my eyes tell me the truth. Bro didn't even want no parts of that game last night. He's yelling at everybody, crying, turning over the ball. Like, did nobody want no part of that game, bro? So to me, everybody's on the table, bro. If it was me, I'm packaging Zach, Domas, and DeMar, and all together in one package and seeing what I can get, bro. Period. As far as Scott Perry, bro, we in a good position with Scott Perry. We ain't got to deal with the whole summer with the nonsense. We can let this dude orchestrate the trades he needs to. He was here for a couple months, but him and Buddy worked good up under the back. Let's not forget that this is the guy who brought Fox to town. Let's not forget he drafted Durant, bro. Aaron Gordon. We can keep going, bro, about the track record over there in New York with Tibbs, R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly. Like, dude, he got plugs around the league. When he calls, bro, they listen, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Scott Perry's the guy, man. So I'm not doom and gloom. I'm ready, bro. But Domas, Zach, and DeMar, bro, they all could be on the trading block if it's for me.
Yep, no doubt. Thanks, TC.
I agree with that.
And I think everybody has to be, there has to be no, and this is not a they need to get rid of everyone conversation. I think they need to get rid of a lot of people and make some substantial moves to alter the direction, or find a direction, pick a track and get on it. And maybe Scott Perry's the guy to do that. I hope he is, and I hope the ownership group gets out of the way. But I also think that everybody needs to be on the there's nobody on the team right now that I'm like, can't touch him. Maybe Keon Ellis because he's cheap.
Yeah.
But even that, if a team calls and wants to give you a first round pick for Keon, sure, man. Like, why not? There's no foundation. There's nothing here that I go, what's the core of this team? Like, you can put together a theoretical core, but a core of Domantas Sabonis and Keegan Murray and Zach LaVine? No, thanks, dude.
Part of that core is because you think you can't trade one of the guys on that three.
In fact, let's talk about that core three. We've already given you Domantas Sabonis' stat line: 7 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 turnovers on 3 of 9 shooting through 3 quarters. And then he put up some 4 points and 5 boards and an assist in the fourth quarter when it was out of hand. Zach LaVine, who played last night, through 3 quarters, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 of 12 shooting, 3 of 6 from 3, 3 turnovers. He finished with 20 points, 3 boards, 9 assists. Why is he only shooting it 12 times for 3 quarters? Why is Zach LaVine taking on a tertiary role in the offense?
$1 million question, Kyle. We've been asking it since he got here.
The $50 million question.
Career year, this, and that, and that never arrived to Sacramento.
And it's not, and again, this is not a Zach LaVine is a bad player take. This is where was Zach LaVine last night? The Zach LaVine that was putting up 40 a week ago. Where was he? Where was that player?
Trista Crick said it a few weeks ago on D-Lo and Casey. It was kind of harsh at the time, but asked her about, Zach LaVine to the Kings, this, and that. Yeah, he's not going to show up when you need him. Trista was right.
She was spot on. Keegan Murray, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists on 2 of 6 shooting and 1 of 4 from 3 with a turnover through 3 quarters. He finished the game 9 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists on 3 of 9 with 3 turnovers. That's the third piece of this. That's the third piece of this hypothetical core.
Yep. But he can't get going if you have too many guys out there because he's not aggressive enough. So do with that what you want. That's
where I'm saying there's something, this group of personalities. Let's forget the basketball acumen for a second. This group of personalities is clearly not correct. Everybody has to be on the table here. There has to be a complete overhaul of whatever it is they're doing, because this isn't it. This team was built to, just get to the playoffs. And they didn't even win a play-in game. It's a mess. And we'll keep talking about it. Jesse Tapia is there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil behind the glass. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320. It's Sacramento Sports Center. I got it, Joe. Just because the Kings have been eliminated from the NBA playoffs doesn't mean that I'm eliminating myself from Underdog, although I probably should. I am just ice freaking cold right now. I cannot get a win on Underdog Daily Fantasy. Their daily pick'em game, super easy to play. You pick 2 or more players, you pick higher or lower on their stats, and then you win up to 1,000 times your money. It's really, really that easy. So what they're doing for the playoffs, this is a really good time to sign up, not only because you get a feel in the playoffs and it starts to get maybe a little bit easier to build lineups when you watch a series, okay, this guy's really struggling, or man, this guy is cooking against this team, or maybe somebody gets hurt and there's a bench player that you really like whose stat projection is maybe a little lower than you think it should be, so you can go higher. They're also doing this profit boost token that I've been telling you about. Game 1 of a playoff series, you get 40% profit boost token. So if your lineup is going to win you $100, that token is going to make it $140. If you use that token game 2, you get a 50% profit boost token, all the way up to 100% for game 7. Now is the time to not only be able to have your takes and build winners, but to profit extra off of them, thanks to Underdog. So here's what you're going to do. Promo code Kyle M, KYLEM, if you sign up today. Download the Underdog app. Super easy. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code Kyle M. That's KYLEM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code Kyle M, KYLEM. I'm going to be building lineups all NBA playoffs long, and I hope you do the same with me. We'll talk about them right here on this program, The Insiders. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/extend.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. Thanks, Joe. Boy, this is where we're at. Yeah, man. We forgot about Malik. Uh-oh. Did you take that out of my ears? Okay. I'm so used to the old way we had it set up where I heard the commercials all the time, so it didn't even register. You said what? Yes. The video? All right. Oh, I have no idea. I am interested in what Mike Brown would look for in a coaching job, though. Would he want to go to a team? Let's say the Suns keep the Beal, Booker, KD trio together. I don't think they will, but let's just for the sake of this. Would he want to go to a team that he's trying to lift to a title contention? Or do you prefer to go to a team like the Spurs, where there's they're kind of at square one?
Maybe the Spurs. You get something to build off of, but I'm pretty out on Mike Brown.
That's fair. So Lou Dort was not drafted to be.
Lou Dort was undrafted.
An awesome offensive option. That is not Drew Holiday's role. Dyson Daniels might be the defensive player of the year. He's also 21 years old.
So yeah, None of those guys were the 4th pick of the draft either.
Also, we don't hate Keegan. We think he's better than he's showing. It's very much the opposite.
Now, back to the Insiders, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Elk Grove Kid Talk Line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. I want to remind everybody real quick before we get to the phone calls that we have our draft party for the Professional Football League, the Major Professional Football League draft party.
It's true. It's the number 1 league where they play football.
It's at Cache Creek. We're doing 4 to 5. James and I are going 4 to 5 p.m. We're doing a 1-hour draft show, NFL draft. We're doing a 1-hour NFL draft show, and then we're going to go watch the draft at Cache Creek. It's going to be a great time. We're going to go to the Elevate Lounge. We're going to have drinks and food. We're going to watch the draft.
I'll hang out with
It's
the
going to be a really
Insiders.
good time. Yeah, come hang out with us.
I would love to be there, but I'll be running the board for you guys while you guys are out there.
Dang. It's going to be I plan on being very informal.
Yeah.
We appreciate you for that, though,
Yeah.
Jesse. Thank you very much.
Salute. So want to make sure that everybody remembers we've got that going on. All right, the Elk Grove Kid Talk Line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Kyle, I understand, man. Come on, you're putting all this on Sabonis, man.
No, I'm not. Turn
Levine?
it down. Turn it down. No, I'm not.
Oh, no.
This is not all on Sabonis. We talked about Zach LaVine. We talked about Keegan Murray. We've talked about Vivek Ranadive and Monty McNair and Doug Christie and the coaching staff. This is not all on Domas. Domas sucked last night. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, but put him out there. You say he's not a 1, he's not this, he's not that.
He's not.
Put him out there and see how fast the Warriors nab him up, and they'll take him. And he'll go to Golden State and play with Draymond, Jimmy, and Steph, and you'll see what Sabonis can do. He'll rebound.
No, go ahead, Joe.
No, keep cooking. Go ahead. You're cooking.
But Sabonis needs a point guard.
I would agree with
don't
you.
have a point guard. He's a pick and roll guy. You don't have a point guard. That's what you're gonna get from Sabonis last night. And Levine, the owner loves him. He's this big time player. He did the same thing in Chicago during the playing game. He poops the bed. The brights get light. Levine disappears. Last night, DeMar played well, but I don't give him good on defense. He was terrible. He wouldn't go out, play no defense last night. Every time down the court, we had a chance to get back into it. They would drive the lane. DeMar would foul.
Easy work. Yep, no doubt. Thanks for the call, Joe.
Send him to the
but
Warriors.
he proved my point.
Yeah, like you said.
Send him to the Warriors, where he could be by Draymond Green and Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, and
Like
then
we've said.
he'll cook.
Like we could be the 4th guy. Yes, like we've said.
Yes, he's absolutely right. Did we gloss over Zach LaVine and Keegan Murray being ass last night?
I don't think we did. I mean, let's see.
Someone in the chat here said that,
Let's
and I just
see.
want to make sure that we're not glossing over that.
Ron Olchi
because there
says
were-
you barely said anything because you love Keegan.
That's facts.
Yeah.
Just that we're huge Keegan Murray guys.
Yeah.
We love Keegan so much. He was actually, the thing is defensively, Keegan was fine.
Yeah. It's just not enough.
They don't have enough of that. The problem with Keegan, and the problem with Keegan last night specifically, is after his rookie year, we were talking, wow, man, 20 points a game, starts getting more threes up. He starts developing that handle a little bit, that shot creation. We're talking Kawhi. He might be baby Kawhi. And he's not.
Yeah, he's not even Chris Middleton.
There was a hope that for me anyway, that we would see Keegan grow into this player this year where, okay, he struggled a little bit last year, but that's sophomore slump. All right, he bounces back in year 3. And it's the disappointing thing for me is I had such a high ceiling for Keegan. I had such high hopes for him. I wanted the Kings to draft him at 4. He was the guy. I wanted no parts of Jaden Ivey, who's I know he had an injury, but he was playing really well in Detroit this year. But I wanted Keegan. And I was a believer in Keegan, and to an extent I still am. But we've talked about this before. It's not Kawhi now. It's something less than that. And I think in these spots where the lights get bright and there's nothing happening, and you turn to Keegan Murray and you go, hey, can you give us something? And he just doesn't give you anything. It's just disappointing.
Well, yeah, and then Madman Fast Lane. Y'all do know Keegan had a 7-foot defensive player of the year on him. I'm assuming the 7-foot right there. Like, that's fine and all that.
Yeah.
Keegan Murray was drafted to be a pillar of this franchise.
Yeah, this is a pattern.
Yes, he was here to, obviously, they're one's gone down. He was here to like take this with Fox and Sabonis.
Mhm.
He's a great player, but he's also not what they drafted him to be, what they needed him to be.
I'm also not going to be attached to any player on a team that went 40 and 42.
Yeah, like that's another thing.
And this is not, man, Keegan was bad last night. We've seen this happen with Keegan time and time again. Waiting for this breakout. And man, he's almost 25. It's like, hey, that should just be him. And that's not a bad thing. I've said this before. There is a spot, like Keegan Murray is a starter on a good team.
Yeah, he's not.
I think he can be that. But it's not, wow, hey, he can be the second scorer on a good team. No, he's probably like better as your fourth or fifth guy. And that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not a bad thing. It's just way below the ceiling I'd set for him.
The Kings are a team full of third and fourth options right now.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Third and fourth are worse. And then Zach LaVine, man, I just...
It's been 11.
It's the efficient...
What more do you want us to say about Zach LaVine other than like what we said already? I didn't like the move when they traded for him.
Yep.
Zach LaVine is
He needed
not
to be better last night.
someone who's ever taken his team 2 wins in his career. He's been in the league 11 years. He's played 4 playoff games, I believe I saw yesterday. Zach LaVine, that is what we have seen forever. Like what do you want with that? Like, what did you expect is my point.
I don't know. Is it disappointing or is it?
I mean,
I think it's disappointing
because
it was predictable
coming into it, but like that's just Zach LaVine. You traded for an 11-year player who did what that 11-year player has done over his entire career.
We got a 1-minute video from James Ham of Sabonis on the podium.
Okay. Go ahead and make that full screen, the video.
Producer Joe in the building.
There you go. Producer Joe. Go ahead and play that.
Morning, Domas. If you could just describe the past 12 hours since the planned loss, and just what that's been like with the departure of Monty and now the hiring of Scott.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I'm hearing news as the meetings go on. So yeah, I don't have much to say right now. Just trying to take it all in.
Domas, when you look at your future, Team Wiley reported that you want to know some answers on where the direction goes within this organization. What factors are you thinking about and considering when you're asking about being in Sacramento long term?
First of all, I want to say I love it here. I want to stay here. I want to win here. I also do want to know what's going to happen. All these things are happening so quick. I want to get together with the new people, whoever comes in, and really try to get this right, and get it back to where it was year one.
That's
great.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I think that's kind of, I do legitimately think he's still processing.
Yeah.
What?
Absolutely. Yeah. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing right now either.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's exit interview stuff, whatever.
Yeah. It would have been wild if he's like, I don't want to be here.
Would have respected it.
Yeah.
Be straight up with me.
Yeah. You got Daniel on line 2 still?
Yes, sir.
All right. Daniel wants to talk about Zach LaVine. Go ahead, Daniel. You're on the Elk Grove Kia talk line. What's up?
Talking about Scott Perry, I don't share the optimism that TC had. Scott Perry, I was surfing X, and he's on X talking about LaVine. He doesn't like LaVine as a player. He doesn't think he's a winner. So I think we're going to find out pretty quick who runs the whole show. Is it Vivek or is it going to be Perry? Because also Sam Amick this morning was saying that Levine's Rich Paul was in the game yesterday. He was sitting in Fox's wife's old seat.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that LaVine is going to be up for a contract extension. If that happens, you know who's running the show.
Yep. I think that's a great indicator. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, I think that's probably right. If they're extending Zach LaVine, because to me at this point, if you can't trade him, you let him play out the contract and figure it out.
You're extending Zach LaVine. I'm not even Daniel's just saying things. I'm not even gonna put that out there. I don't.
If
there's no. Nah.
If James has brought up the idea of like tearing up his contract and giving him an extension that's like a lower dollar.
To make it easier to trade, maybe?
Well, I mean, easier to trade, but also it's what we just talked about with Domas. If Zach LaVine is making $25 million a year, you feel way better about him, right?
Yeah.
Because now you're going, hey, we're gonna get these runs where he shoots 97% from 3 for 2 weeks, and he carries us to a couple of wins. But that way, if he disappears in a playoff game or in a play-in game,
it's justifiable at this point.
It's just like, because you in this scenario, you ideally have a very clear one. And that's something that Howard Beck talked about on the Real Ones podcast last season. We actually had him on this show to talk about this. This is Howard Beck from The Ringer. And he talked about how one of the key components to a championship team is having a very clear pecking order. There's the dude, right? Let's talk Celtics, defending champs.
Yes.
Jason Tatum's the dude.
Yes.
And then it's Jaylen Brown. And then it's Kristaps Porzingis.
Whoever's got the third option that day.
Right. And then it's like there's a very clear 1-2 pecking order at the top. And then the Celtics are probably a bad example because they're so talented down the list.
Thank you.
But the Kings don't have that.
Well,
DeMar was the clear one.
Yeah.
But at this stage of his career and in this NBA, that's not
what you signed him to be.
Right. So
I'm
not super optimistic about the players on this team on their current contracts because look, the reason we're bringing up the financial aspect of this is because there's a salary cap they have to work with, and Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine's contracts are such that A, they might be tough to trade, and B, you might just kind of be stuck with them making a combined $80 to $90 million.
I don't like that, Kyle.
It's tough.
Don't like it one bit.
Dude, I just want to hear some silver lining.
Not today.
Silver lining?
Not today.
I know.
Kyle did that to start the show.
I know.
DeMar was good last night.
DeMar was good.
Kings fired
someone.
and GM really fast.
I'm fun, and the Kings fans are fun.
Yeah, you are.
But this is just really gloomy. This sucks.
It's just part of also I guess there's a silver lining, and you reach the end.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I have one good takeaway from last night. It's that the season is over.
Well, not that, but just more so
that
now we know this team needs to move forward. Like now you need to rebuild. Like now you've reached the end of running it back, whatever, bringing back Kevin Huerter sometimes, blah, 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 whatever we've talked about the past 3 years. Now we know it's over. Time to move this forward now.
I think there's if
you want a silver lining, I guess that's it.
And the reality, if we're going to deal in reality here for a few minutes, the reality is they're not going to trade everyone. They're not going to, a large portion of this roster will be back next year. What Scott Perry's task is, assuming he's running the show, what the Kings' task is okay, let's assume for a moment that Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine are on the roster next year. I think they will be. You have those two players. Don't make a face.
I'm not making a face. Radio doesn't know I'm making a face. Say your point.
They have those two players. What you have to do now, and I think Keegan, while we're talking Keegan, I'm trying silver linings here, Joe. While we're talking Keegan, if he's your fifth option defensive stopper, Keon Ellis gonna be a legitimate 3-and-D guard. Awesome. You now need to figure out how to best supplement the Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis duo. Because whether you like it or not, that might just be your top two dudes. Whether you want it to be or not, you may not have a choice. So instead of just throwing their hands up and going, well, let's try and piece this together and try and make the playoffs. No, try and build around it. Instead of trying to just...
You can Memphis Grizzlies this thing?
Maybe.
They're skipping a couple steps. They're just saying, let's just make it to the playoffs. But first, we need baby steps to get there, obviously.
You were supposed to take the baby steps to last.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Domantas Sabonis is going to be 28 and Zach LaVine's 30.
Yep.
You don't have time to do those. But at the same time, I think trying to shoehorn DeMar DeRozan type players, guys who don't fit, you need good players for sure, but you need to make sure they fit. You need a clear vision of what the team is supposed to be. DeMar DeRozan was not a fit. No matter how many articles I read, no matter how many videos I watched breaking down how DeMar DeRozan is going to fit perfectly in the Kings offense, it was not.
It wasn't, but also if you were bringing him in, you needed to make other moves to make him a fit. Like you just kind of brought in DeMar. All right, we got him.
Yeah.
We're good, guys. Let's go now.
Yeah, the guy from the Kendrick Lamar video, he's here now. That's not there needs to be, okay, if these are the building blocks, again, whether you like it or not, if these are the building blocks, there has to be some vision for how do we maximize what those two players are doing, because they're here.
Real quick before we get out, we got a couple minutes. Dirk in the chat says Doug Christie didn't develop anything with his entire team all year. He can't develop these guys moving forward. I don't necessarily agree with that, but how do you feel about Doug?
I'm of the mind that I'm not entirely out on Doug Christie. I have major questions about him.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be, and I thought this with the GM search and they didn't do it, which terrifies me about their coaching search. You absolutely cannot, if you're Vivek Ranadive, say, I want Doug to be the coach, so Doug's going to be, I mean, you can, you own the team. Shout out to you. You can do that.
Well, we know who they want.
Right. Sam Amick and Anthony Slater wrote it in The Athletic. Vivek is the Doug Christie guy. He wants Doug Christie to be the coach.
Yeah.
So that's okay. But to me, the proper way to do this is you say, Scott Perry, you're the general manager, vice president of basketball operations, whatever he's going to be. You're the front office lead. You interview. We're going to mandate that you interview Doug. Interview him. But do a wide-ranging coaching search. And don't just make it the big names. Don't just make it Mike Budenholzer and who else is out there that just got fired?
Taylor Jenkins, Mike Malone.
Right. Taylor Jenkins, Michael Malone. Don't just make it those big names. Call David Adelman.
Go get some Will Hardy time. Yes.
David Adelman in here.
That's where the league is moving, by the way.
Yes.
Like Mike Malone, Taylor Jenkins, Mike Brown, Mike Budenholzer, all same type of old school coach.
And you see the stories about them are all not exactly the same, but very similar.
They all have similar points.
They just
it's the same basis, basically.
They get to the end of their rope with players, or players get to the end of their ropes with those coaches.
Yep. And
I don't think that just going, yeah, Doug's the coach. That to me is not. That's the what did Kirk say yesterday? The mirage of transparency. That's the mirage of stability.
Yeah.
That's, oh, look, we didn't make any changes. Like, no, because you didn't try. You didn't go see if Doug was the best option. You just decided he was.
I like Doug Christie. I can learn to like Scott Perry, but there's also, you need to do the process the right way. That's just, that stuff matters. For good organizations, and just, you get in the habit of just doing things the right way. Because if not, you end up with all this mess that we get to talk about today.
Yep. You need to be identifying good coaches. You need to be bringing those coaches in, interviewing them. And even if you're interviewing them, the 49ers did this with Brandon Staley a couple years ago. Last year.
One of the years.
They brought him in for a defensive coordinator interview. And they basically just talked football with him and got his ideas about their defense. And he wound up staying on the coaching staff. It was kind of a mess. But that whole idea of, hey, let's bring in coaches and let's bring in GMs. And let's just talk hoop. And let's figure out kind of the landscape of the league and the way they're going and the way is Doug really the best option for this team? Because, man, we really liked that assistant coach from Oklahoma City. Boy, he had some great ideas for this team. If you don't do the interviews, you're never going to know. And you're crossing your fingers that, like, man, I hope this is right.
You're leaving every stone left unturned.
You're at a buffet and you go, I'm eating that pizza and I'm not checking anything else. All right. And meanwhile, everybody's like, hey, man, did you try the pasta? It's so good.
Yeah.
Man, did you try the
could be better
chicken
for you.
Tenders?
Just do
a
things.
Buffet chicken tender is crazy.
I was trying to help you out. But yeah, there's like, you got to do things the right way finally. But I don't know. They fired one guy one night and hired the next guy the next morning.
Yeah. Man. And here we are. The handoff's coming up next. We'll get D'Lo or KC, maybe both. We'll get their thoughts on this debacle, and then they will take over at noon right here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Jesse Toppy in for James Ham, who is down at Golden One Center covering exit interviews. Joe Brazil is here doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. I'm Kyle Madsen. We'll be back in a second. This is an interesting comment, and I legitimately mean that interesting. I would love to see the version of the Kings where they don't have DeMar this year, because maybe they do win like 28 games.
I don't know that version of the. Oh yeah, okay. Wins 28 games for the season. Say that version of the Kings still didn't like Mike Brown too, so yeah, probably not gonna look too good. Russ, no.
Oh. Yeah. All right. Hey, Damian Barling. Here for the handoff. Is that a
Thank you.
cardigan or a jacket? That's a jacket.
How maybe they want to be good friends or something. Bridge up that Boston Sacramento alliance we got going on.
Oh, this is a good idea. Have like 3 or 4 head coaches.
Tom, the green cornet is off limits. Might be our starting center next year too.
Look, it's Damian, everyone. Say hi to Damian.
I'll think about it, Kyle.
Hey, yo.
Shout out Michael
Boy,
Vick,
Yeah, they sure did.
head coach. I love that's the new wave too. We're just gonna hire former professional players to lead our franchises and college teams.
Hell yeah. Sac State legend Mike Vick.
Hey, those 20 minutes were a moment.
I was at the movies and my phone just started blowing. I was watching Wicked and my phone just started blowing up. And so I was like, what in the world? And I look and I see a notification that's like, Michael Vick, Sac State.
Ariana Grande is the bad person in that movie, right?
Oh, she sucks.
They're awful. All the nice people that are supposed to be great are awful in that movie.
Glinda's a fraud.
Yeah, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, we killed the Mike Vick rumor like 2 minutes after the tweet went out.
Those 2 minutes,
Literally
though.
got a direct.
2 minutes, though.
I got a direct. Yeah, that's not happening.
Bigger fraud, Glinda or Demonis Sabonis?
Glinda.
Domas.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't even. I was just on Wig. Yeah, it was Domas. Yeah,
Domas.
Glinda's not making $40 million a year, or 45. Excuse me.
Everyone's like, "Oh, Glinda's here." I'm like, "Hey, she sucks. Not a nice person."
Gets paid right though.
Yeah, boy.
She is horrible.
I was watching Chris let that movie around. I'm like, wow, they're just being very mean to this person right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the only reason she becomes friends with her is just so she can like prove that she can make this girl popular.
Uh,
The whole movie's about bullying.
Facts.
I can. Oof. God, when she comes in to the dance with the hat on, oh, that cut me deep. Oh yeah. What are we listening to?
Katie's real about her daughter getting LASIK surgery.
That was the song that was on it.
The song, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Homer James, did DeMar destroy this team, or did Monty McNair bring in DeMar DeRozan into this team?
Or was it Monty McNair?
Oh, well, yeah. Whoever the powers may be.
Or was it?
Somebody brought him in.
Nobody did. He just showed up.
Hmm.
It's like, I play here now.
Yeah, who invited you here, bro? Who do you know here?
Called DeMar just called Harrison Barnes. He's like, hey, catch the first flight out to San Antonio. It's not wrong. Dude, I don't want to do this on air, so I'll do it real quick here. Whatever the Mavericks are doing that has Anthony Davis shooting jump shots needs to stop yesterday. The Anthony Davis jumper is just not a viable thing.
It's not, but you kind of got to let a top 75 player do what a top 75 player does, I feel.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, if you want to take these 3 jumpers, 4 jumpers, whatever, 5.
It was way more than that. It was a lot of their offense last night.
However many.
Somebody said, where'd it go? This wouldn't shock me.
Now, back to the Insiders, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Jesse Tapia in for James Ham. James Ham down at Golden One Center covering exit interviews for the Kings today. He'll be back tomorrow. Joe Brazil is here. Damian Barling is also here because it's the handoff. D'Lo and KC coming up at noon. Yikes, man.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I don't think it could have gone worse last night.
Or could it have not gone better? That was the perfect end of the season. It was
I think I agree with
like
you.
it's the most fairy tales are few and far between, right? Most stories tie up the way that they're supposed to. The way last night's game went into the post game stuff into this morning is exactly the way the season should have gone. It's exactly the way the season should have ended. And I'll tell you this, and we're going to talk a lot about this at 12, and I'll probably repeat this, but it was very obvious when we walked in the building and I'm walking down the stairs talking to Kyle Madsen, who's actually nowhere near me because he veered off somewhere else.
And I was talking
bizarre moment.
I was talking to Damian.
For reasons known to no one, Kyle and I enter the building together. And I'm like, all right, we'll go down to the court. And I'm just like talking and we're just continuing the conversation we were having. And I turn around and he's not there. And I look around and I walk back up the stairs and he is 7 aisles down. And I'm like, oh.
I was going to the elevator.
I was going down to the court. So I was talking to my imaginary friend, Kyle.
Yeah,
how long were you talking to this imaginary person for?
I was halfway down the stairs before I realized Kyle wasn't there. So it was a solid 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah, I'd probably gone 4 or 5 sections. I'm not going to say what
that's
we were,
enough
what
to that's enough to notice.
About.
Hey, that guy's talking to himself over there.
Yeah.
Dude, just yapping.
That's tough.
I'm just like,
that's tough.
Like, yeah, so it's good. Blah 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 blah. Just and then I turn. Where did he go?
Yeah, it's very odd, very odd. But once I got to the floor, started visiting with different people in different walks of life, it was very obvious. Monty McNair stood next to us for 10 minutes talking to someone. It's very obvious. 2 things. One, Monty McNair knew he was being fired, or mutually, he knew he was not going to be the general manager moving forward. He knew that.
He knew he was going to be mutually parted.
Last day here.
It was also, and this is definitely hindsight, because I thought, all right, well, the name we kept hearing, I left the arena after halftime thinking, okay, Monty's going to get fired, and they're really leaning heavy towards Scott Perry. That's going to be the angle tomorrow. Hindsight, they knew they were hiring Scott Perry. The stuff we were hearing wasn't chatter. It was what was happening. It was the actual plan. And again, I didn't recognize it until the Shams tweet went out like, oh, they already had this in the works. Yeah. I said yesterday, like, yo, Joe Dumars is like, feels a little sneaky. Like Joe Dumars comes across a little sneaky to me, and we like talked it out. And Casey was like, this is just kind of how the game works. When someone's getting fired, there's rarely an expansive search. People use those words all the time. I think Ishbia just used them.
I think I used them 20 minutes ago.
3 different times. And expansive. Those are so rare.
Yeah.
I think they're even rarer in the front office. And so whether it's, and this is the part that I can't get over. Whose idea was this? Because to me, it's one guy's.
There's one guy.
And it's not the one you're thinking of.
Oh.
You want to go ahead? You want to say a name? Or?
It's Vladdy. Think about this for a second. Vladdy's been around the organization.
I'm going to go lay down.
Vladdy's been around the organization for months. Vladdy arguably never stopped being around the organization. Vladdy's biggest knock was he doesn't know anyone. Like, he doesn't know how to reach out to other teams in the league. He doesn't know how to reach out to other people. He doesn't have those relationships. So they bring in Scott Perry to help out and be an advisor before that New York Knicks job becomes available. Vladdy called the one goddamn guy he knew. And it was Scott Perry. Now, I like Scott Perry. I think Scott Perry has great relationships across the league. He is a very, very well-respected NBA executive. Cool. Like, all right. Like, I'm fine with it. Like, I'm fine with it. I just want Kings fans to be able to process this process. 6 degrees of Vlade is what's happening within this organization. And Vlade, I read Sam's article. Well, Vlade, he's not going to take it. He's around in an informal capacity. Having guys around in an informal, I'll give anyone in this organization, anyone in that PR department, anyone who monitors this show to run them and tell them everything we're saying. I give them an opportunity to tell me that that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me my idea, my thought that Vlade Divac made this call, that Vlade Divac initiated this call. Tell me I'm wrong. Every one of them has my phone number. Tell me that's wrong. It's not. There's no way it's wrong. He called the one guy he knew.
Oof.
And it doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean that Scott Perry is the wrong hire. It doesn't mean any of that.
Right.
It just means we need to process the process.
Yes.
This organization is ass. Unwashed ass.
Disgusting.
We always say ass. Ass can be beautiful.
No one's ever been like
Ass
oh.
can be wonderful.
But yeah, but no one's ever been like, oh, like use it in a nice term though.
No, well, okay, well, we need to start. No, hey,
man,
hey,
Because
yo,
no, 'cause that, you can't. That's
Brandon Williams was ass last night.
Boy. I mean, look, hey, pardon me, Miss P, Ms. Mac-10, Jill, Katrina, the ladies of the. Excuse me for
all due respect.
How many? Oh man, that ass, boy. How many times, right?
Say,
no one ever says that in a bad way. No one ever says that in a bad way.
The only time I said is in a bad way, though.
I vote we start changing the use of the word ass and make it mean positive. Yo, this show today, Jesse was ass when he was cooking Domantas Sabonis. Oh my gosh.
See, it doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. It's worse. It doesn't work at all.
It's the is and was. That verb is what changes it.
Like Domantas Sabonis played like ass yesterday.
Yes.
That's bad.
Okay. I'm saying when you throw unwashed in front of it, there's no question what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is a lot of work, though.
When you throw unwashed in front of it, there's no question what
brother,
we're
we all had
talking
an
about.
understanding, and you came in here like, hey, I don't know.
All I'm saying is
you're creating solutions to problems that don't exist.
Yeah.
What record still plays every day? Back that ass up.
I was gonna say not like us, but
well, that record plays a whole lot more than once a day.
Back that ass up does still play a lot.
All the time, and it still goes hard.
It's a great song.
Still goes hard. It's.
Would you say that song's ass?
It's ass.
No, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It sounds like a diss every time.
Hey.
We're deep down the rabbit hole of ass being bad.
You told me I was asked today. I was like, oh damn, maybe I wasn't that good. It's like, no, you're doing the right.
I knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
And my initial thing was like, hey.
I know. I almost took off my headphones and walked out.
See? Well, at least you didn't take a nap like Kyle did when I mentioned Vlade.
But you're right, because in the Sam Amick Anthony Slater article, my close personal friend Anthony Slater,
great guy.
they mention in there on purpose, Vlade is still around and he has influence, but he doesn't have a formal role.
Means he's not getting that paycheck.
That line is exactly what you're saying, and I did not read it like that until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that meant.
Which is arguably the most dangerous position he can have.
They're getting they
because he doesn't have any accountability in that position.
Exactly.
And that's like this is where, and we have tried to stall out Vivek so many times. This is his biggest problem. He can't make a decision.
He doesn't trust the dudes that he hires.
He doesn't trust himself.
Right.
He does not trust himself to make a decision and stand by it. Whether it's Vlade in his original form or Joe Dumars later, there is always someone lurking in an informal capacity who seems to have influence on this organization.
Yep.
And again, for like the second time in his 13-year tenure as the owner, it is Vlade Divac. Vlade Divac, I think his first time around had an actual position. Now he's in a more dangerous position, as we just mentioned, because he has no accountability, because the role is completely like, oh, it's informal, which means he can't get fired.
It goes wrong. He's just like,
pretty much.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh man.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's ass, dog. That's wild.
You said that's ass.
See? But no, it could have been that's great. You don't know.
No, it still sounds worse. Yes.
See?
I feel worse.
I was gonna ask what you guys have coming up.
It's this. Like I mean, there was
4 hours of electricity.
We're here. We got phones. Jake Gayden. I didn't even know the Jake Gayden story until you told it. That's amazing. I did not hear that story until you told it. And then I know Matt George has got plenty of things to say, so he'll be with us at 3. So
it's Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said the days of the week are wild.
Before I stopped to get, because it's Donut Friday on a Thursday.
Yes.
Before I stopped to get, I forgot your guys' donuts that you like with the special things on top.
That's even.
It sounded worse.
Yeah, it was.
You
If
could
I
have
just said the one
peanuts.
with nuts, and it would have been.
Well, no, it's worse when the lady goes, "Hey, can we get one with the nuts?" That was worse. Yeah, that was tough
for me.
That was tough.
I had to check to make sure. I was like, "Is this Thursday? It's definitely Thursday."
This is why I'm so happy.
I checked
This
too.
is why I'm so happy the season is over. Like, get this, just end it. I'm just so happy this is over.
All right. KC's here. That means we got to go.
Yeah.
We're getting kicked out.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, 10
We're
a.m.,
very
The
late.
Insiders. James Ham will be back. I'm Kyle Madsen. That's Joe Brazil. 10 a.m., The Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube, ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Until then, drink water. Be nice, people. See ya.